Being as old as Skyrim is, the majority of this game's secrets have already been unturned, but even almost 12 years later, players are still discovering new secrets about Skyrim to this day. So, in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at 5 crazy things players discovered years later in Skyrim. Number 1. Treasure foxes. Finding treasure in Skyrim can sometimes feel like finding a needle in a haystack, with the biggest piece of aid given to you being a vague scribble of the location. However, some players believe you can be led to all sorts of treasures and secrets with the help of a guide. Foxes. That's right, over the years some players have speculated that foxes always led to treasure, and for a long time nobody actually knew if this was true or just a hoax. But after many years of speculation, a Skyrim developer finally revealed the truth, and it turns out this theory is actually true. Let me explain. Foxes will always lead you to treasure because Skyrim is made of polygons, and since the fox's AI is programmed to flee from the player, it tries to get as many polygons away from the player in as little time as possible. So, the foxes typically do this by running to points of interest, groups of bandits, and even sometimes hidden treasure chests. This mystery was finally solved by Skyrim developer Joel Burgess, who revealed it all in a Twitter thread he made, going into the intricacies of navmesh and AI pathfinding. Joel explains that foxes have a very simple AI, where all they have to do is run away from the player as far away as possible whenever the player gets near the fox. However, the way the distance is measured in video games is not the same as in real life. Instead of using kilometers or miles, video games use a term called navmesh. Without turning this video into a game design course, navmesh is basically a bunch of triangles linked together that aid AI, such as foxes for example, to tell them where they can and cannot go. So, when a fox is told to run away from the player, they're actually being told to run X amount of triangles away from the player. Outdoor grassland areas, which is where you will typically find foxes, have pretty basic topography and don't need a lot of these triangles, but places like bandit camps, ruins, and yes, even hidden treasures all need more of these triangles since their design is more complex. So, as Joel puts it, yes, Skyrim's foxes actually do lead you to treasure. Pretty cool, hey? Number 2. Letters from a friend. After you complete the quest Dragon Rising, where at the end of it you are revealed to be the Dragonborn, you'll begin to receive strange letters which tell you that you caused quite a bit of a stir when shouting, and later gives you the location of a word wall. Most interestingly, the letters are always signed with a friend, so players have always wondered just who it is that's sending out these mysterious letters. Some initially believed it was Delphine, since she also signs a letter as a friend during the Horn of Jurgen Windcaller quest. But this doesn't make sense when you think about it for more than 2 seconds. I get how Delphine can predict us taking the Horn of Jurgen Windcaller, but how is she supposed to know whenever I shouted in the Soul Cairn or Apocrypha? Come to think of it, there is one character that can do just that, Hermaeus Mora. Hermaeus Mora being the friend that sends out these letters makes a lot more sense than meets the eye. Get it? Because he has lots of… never mind.
My disappointment is immeasurable.
Being the Daedric Prince of Knowledge, Hermaeus Mora could easily find out where we shouted and the locations of all the word walls in the game. But on top of this, he also has an interest in making us more powerful, as the letters explain, as Miraak, Hermaeus Mora's previous servant, has become rash, arrogant, and believes himself to be above the servitude of the Daedric Prince. The Dragonborn DLC was likely intended to be the final questline in the game to complete, and it ends with you sealing your fate as Hermaeus Mora's new servant, which is likely why he was sending out all the letters, to make you strong enough to defeat Miraak and be worthy of being under the servitude of him. Number 3. The true bounty in the abandoned shack. Although the Dark Brotherhood questline technically begins with us accepting the contract to kill Grelid the Kind from Aventus Aretino, our first true interaction with this ancient assassin order is sometime later, once we've been kidnapped by Astrid and wake up in an abandoned shack outside of Solitude. I'm sure you all know what happens afterward. Astrid reveals to us that there are 3 other captives in the shack, and we are given the choice to kill whichever we believe to be guilty. We are allowed to question them, and can even kill multiple captives. However, we are never told outright who is truly guilty and who is innocent. So, we have to decide between killing Foltheim the Fearless, Elia Quintus, or Vasha the Khajiit. Fans believe that the actual person with a contract on their heads is you. This theory sparked due to the random encounter where a Dark Brotherhood assassin tries to murder you. This encounter can happen any time before you start the Dark Brotherhood questline, which could mean that the Dragonborn has had a contract on them before the game even begins. I mean, we were trying to cross the border and escape Skyrim after all. Something very similar to this scenario also occurred in Oblivion. In the Shadenal Sanctuary, there's a Bosmer assassin called Talandril, who explains that her initial encounter with Lucien Lachance, then listener of the Dark Brotherhood, was on the other side of his blade, but Lucien was later impressed by Talandril after she killed the person who set out the contract against her father. Therefore, the captives in the room are nothing more than a ruse for Astrid to not only see our willingness to kill, but also to trade our life for that of another. This is further validated by the fact that our choice in who we kill doesn't matter. All that matters is that we must kill someone. So, in conclusion, the Dragonborn is the real target, right? Well, no. See, many fans who placed all this conjecture in their theories forgot to try one simple trick to find the killer, the clairvoyance spell. That's right, this otherwise useless spell turns out to be pretty good at laying fan theories to rest. When used, the spell points to Vasha, meaning that she is the correct person to kill in the abandoned shack. She is the only person with a bounty placed on them. Number 4. The Ebony Warrior's true identity. The Ebony Warrior is probably the most elusive character in Skyrim. This Dark Knight appears only after you reach level 80, appearing as a man clad in ebony armor and challenging you to a duel to the death. Upon meeting him at the agreed-upon location, the Ebony Warrior will have no words left for you, and will simply stand there, waiting for you to land the first blow. How nice of him. It's important to realize that level 80 was the maximum level in the vanilla game before it was later changed, so the Ebony Warrior was likely meant to be the final challenge for the player to overcome. It's also likely that most players will complete most of Skyrim's content by the time they reach level 60, so reaching level 80 was reserved for those players who were truly dedicated to becoming the best. Interestingly enough, the Ebony Warrior faces a similar dilemma. He claims that there are no longer any quests to be undertaken, villains to be slain, or challenges to face except for you. The Ebony Warrior believes he is ready to journey to Sovngarde and considers the Dragonborn the only person capable of killing him in combat to make that happen, which makes this whole encounter even more bizarre, considering the Ebony Warrior is a Redguard and Sovngarde is exclusive to Nords, right? Redguards have a similar afterlife to the Nords called the Far Shores, so wanting to go to another race's afterlife is just outright strange. Many fans believe that the Ebony Warrior is not a regular mortal, but rather an avatar of Hunding, a god worshipped by the Redguard people. This god was materialized into a mortal form whenever the Redguard people needed a hero to make way for their people. Most come to this conclusion because he is similar in strength to the Dragonborn and looks very similar to Raymond Ebenarmed, another avatar of Hunding. But the truth is a little more anticlimactic. Despite what most people think, you don't actually have to be a Nord to feast in the halls of Sovngarde, as long as you follow the Nordic pantheon of gods such as Shor and Ysmir and live with the heart of a Nord, then getting into Sovngarde is not so difficult. So, based on all the evidence, the Ebony Warrior is actually Hunding, the Redguard god. Number 5. The disappearance of the Dwemer. The Dwemer were one of, if not the most advanced race in the Elder Scrolls universe. From mechanical automations to giant airships, the Dwemer have made inventions that even as of Skyrim, no civilization has been able to replicate. But their technological prowess, along with their entire race, all mysteriously disappeared during the Battle of Red Mountain, a fierce battle where the Dunmer were trying to stop the Dwemer from using the Heart of Lorkhan. Yes, the same Lorkhan that created Nirn. Lorkhan's heart was being used by a specific Dwemer magecrafter known as Kagrenak, who was trying to use the heart to make a new god that would act in the Dwemer's interest. It would be one final FU to the gods and other races, who thought the Dwemer's aesthetic society was heresy. But once the Dunmer learned about Kagrenak's plans, a war broke out between the two races, culminating in one final battle between the Dwemer and the Dunmer at Red Mountain. And while the Dark Elves were trying to stop Kagrenak from accomplishing his admittedly insane far-out goal, all of the Dwemer suddenly disappeared, likely after Kagrenak tampered with the Heart of Lorkhan. And ever since that day, the question of where the Dwemer went has been shrouded in mystery, both within the game's lore and fans alike. But if we want answers, we're going to have to take a stroll down memory lane and go all the way back to Morrowind to speak with Yagran Bagan. Yagrum Bagan is self-proclaimed to be the last remaining Dwemer in Tamriel and offers his own theory as to how the Dwemer disappeared. Yagrum believes that Kagranag fulfilled his plan to grant his race eternal life, but with unforeseen consequences, such as your entire race being transported to a different realm. This would mean that the dwarves are not extinct at all, but rather in a different plane of reality to that of the Mundus. In fact, Yagrum believes that he did not go with the other Dwemer due to him being in a different plane of reality during their disappearance. And I, for one, believe that this is very plausible. However, there is also some additional insight that has been provided by ex-Bethesda writer Michael Kirkland, who has a fan theory of his own. Kirkland also believes that Kagranag did fulfill his plan to wield the power of the Heart of Lorkhan, but instead of being sent to a different reality, they were sent to a different time. Time travel isn't exactly a new idea in the Elder Scrolls universe, so calling this theory far-fetched is a little far-fetched. And based on all the evidence we have so far, plus on top of Kirkland being responsible for writing some of the Elder Scrolls universe's lore, this theory most likely is the truth of what happened to the Dwemer. But anyway, that's all for today, folks. Leave a comment and let us know what you thought. And if you liked the video, click the like button. And if you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so.